Welcome back. Hopefully you enjoyed the other video of all my mismatch of working on the miscellaneous systems. Today I'm going to go ahead and get the aileron mounted to the right wing. I spun the cradle around, so now the right wing is facing us. I'm going to get this thing mounted. I'm going to show the process of making those spacers as well as the Delrin aileron stops. Again, these are not staying mounted right now. They have to come back off so that I can paint later and do a bunch of other stuff. But for the time being, they're going to live mounted on the wing, and this way all the hardware is made and it's there. When I take it off, I just got to put it right back where it came from. Also, going to adjust, I don't know if you can see this, going to adjust the push-pull tube for this side. We'll get neutral set up, at least as best we can for right now. And then that's pretty much it. I started doing some skin prep for the other wing. Once I'm done with all this, I'll probably get into more of that. I need to put some more pull strings in before I skin these to make sure that pull strings are inside of all of these conduits. I also learned on the other wing, now that I have the bottom skin clean coat on the inboard side, that the T that I have over here has a pull string, but reaching through the access panel and grabbing all the way up here is really difficult to do. So I need to extend that pull string and I'll tie it around the lower conduit. So if I ever need to get to it in the future, I can just reach it through the access hatch and be good to go. I think that's about it. The only things that are going to be planned to go in those at this point, probably some outside air temp probes will probably go in there later on. Shouldn't be too bad. You can see here's the aileron servo cable. So yeah, we'll get back to doing some work. If you didn't stick around long enough in that other video, or you just didn't notice, I also did make the announcement. I ordered the fuselage, so the deposit has been made, and just wait to hear back from Vans. I got the confirmation emails and everything else, so we'll see. 4 to 6 months, we'll have a fuselage in here, and hopefully these will be completely buttoned up and ready to go at that point, and I can push them out of the way, and we'll keep on working on this airplane. So stick around. Welcome to the voiceover. This wasn't a long build session. I think this only took me a couple hours total, just fiddling around with it. But this whole thing is just getting the aileron mounted, and there you see I'm reaming out the hole. I haven't done that one yet. These holes get well, those brackets are powder coated, and the powder coat changes the diameter of the bolt hole just enough that you can't really get the bolt in there. So the reamer comes in handy for that. Anyhow, the whole idea here is to get the right aileron mounted. I told you all I would make a video showing you the process. So there I'm showing you, it's kind of hard to see, but there's the rig plate that you install. That's where the bell crank has to be for neutral. And then once that's set, you need to make sure that you are neutral. So there's a couple of tooling holes across the main ribs. I'm shooting the laser line across those, and then you don't care about the tooling holes according to the plans in the aileron. What you care about is that the very edge of the trailing edge lines up with those tooling holes on the main ribs, and that should be roughly neutral. So right now I'm making adjustments to the throw on that rod to change where it's landing. There you can see I almost got it. That's why I've got that piece of tape up there, make it easier to see the laser line. And then I started adjusting it the wrong way. So I went from almost good to making it worse, and it takes me a minute to figure out which way I'm going. Just constant adjustments until I start seeing the movement going the way I want it to go. And this is going to get checked again and fine-tuned once wings are attached to fuselage later on and you're rigging everything up for the last time. But this is just to get you close. So that was it. Ran the jam nuts down and got them tight. So now it's time to make the spacers. They give you that tube stock right there, and from that you have to cut a 3/8 roughly inch spacer for the top hinge, and then you got to make one that's 17/32 for the bottom. This was a lot of doing this the hard way as I sit there and stare at the drill and say, there's an easier way to do this. Much easier. Just chuck it up in the drill and spin it. Tube cutter does a really nice job making nice clean cuts though. This is where it gets tedious because it tells you I'm putting that first one in that should be approximately 3/8 of an inch. There is an order of washers and spacers that have to go in. It's on the plans. Until you get it mostly built up though, you don't know if the spacer fits. You want to start on the bigger side and then kind of grind it down until it perfectly fits. You don't want any slop in your controls. So first attempt, it was still too big, had to take it back over to the sander, sand it off and deburr it. And then once I actually do get it in there and I'm happy with the size, you can see I dropped some of the washers, then it'll be time to make the aileron stop that goes around that bushing. Or spacer, sorry. There you see I'm using the washer wrench. So didn't fit that time, went and made an adjustment to it. Now we're trying it again. Now it does fit. It's a nice snug fit without spreading anything apart. So now that I know the final size of that, I can make the Delrin aileron stop that's got to go around it because it needs to be the same size. Delrin cuts, drills, and sands really easily. And you see me cutting it to length on the bandsaw. This is the easiest way I've come up with to make a dead center hole in that rod stock, and I've tried a bunch of different methods. So I'm chucking the drill bit up in the vise, point end up, and I'm chucking the Delrin piece that I made in the drill chuck itself. And as long as nothing moves, they should stay perfectly center to each other. I've tried all manner of other things. I used those little walnut blocks and drilled guide holes in it, and it never came out right. So this method works the best, at least for me. If I had a lathe, that would be even better, but I don't. So there you go. I just pressed the spacer into the Delrin block there, or the rod, and now I'm just cleaning up the ends so they are nice and flush with each other. And there you go. That's what it should look like when it's done. Take that back over and now install it for, well, at least the last time for right now. Like I said earlier, these ailerons will come back off when it's time to paint, but in the interim they will live on the wing just to keep them safe and out of the way. Plus, it'll be easy later on. Well, I won't say easy. Putting these on is tedious, but it'll be easier because all of these parts will be made. The washer stacks will be made. All I have to do is put it back together the way I take it apart. Here's a semi-pro tip. When you've got 2 or more washers you have to put in on one side, like you do here, I use a piece of that fine line tape, and it just fits nicely on the edge of 2 of those 960 washers. That holds them together so I can then use the washer wrench and put them in at the same time. Way better than trying to fight putting them in one at a time and keeping one from falling back off. And then when you're done, I just take the pick and pull the piece of tape back off. Nice and easy. I have that tape laying around from painting some models, an RV-8 model actually that I have. I bought it on Amazon like everything else. It was pretty cheap and it's handy to have around. And I'm going to use it again on this side because there's a stack of 3 washers here. It's a regular 960, then a 960L, which is a thin one, and then another 960, all on the other side of that bracket. And that piece of tape is just big enough to hold all 3 of them together. Now this side, the plans tell you can alter the shim stack or the size of the washers if you need to make the space work. On the other side, I was able to do exactly what the plan said. On this side, I had to change one of the regular 960s for a 960L because I didn't have enough room, and that's on the other side of that bracket that's attached to the wing. So you get 3 washers on this side, 1 washer on the other side, and then 1 washer on the back side where the nut goes. And if you noticed, I dropped the washer stack all the way down and into the wing. I'll have to fish that out later. I went and made up another one and got it installed. All these nuts, I'm just threading them on there until I get to the nylock part of them. I'm not threading them past that. I don't want to wear out the nylock part, and there's no need since they have to come back off. Here you see me using my Klein angle tool, and I'm just verifying that I roughly have 32 degrees of up travel before I hit the stop. And I do. It ended up being like 31 point something, which I think is good enough for right now considering there's so many different variables in what I'm probably reading. But you see me wiggling it there because I noticed something, and it's really bad on the other wing. The rivet heads need to be adjusted, or the rotation of the shaft for the push-pull tube, because it is catching on the bell crank on that other side. So I'm going to have to figure that out. But for now, that's it. It's all mounted. See you on the next one.